Listen, this is Dr. Nikki. I am the owner of the Herpreneur Network. I am so excited to be a part of this Black Nonprofit Summit. Listen, I want to give a shout out to Dr. Tiffany Bell, my girl, for allowing me to be a part of this amazing summit. I'm so honored. Little bit about me. I'm actually a pastor's daughter. I've been in church pretty much all my life. I worked with a plethora of different pastors, leaders, teachers, from Dr. Juanita Bynum to Bishop T.D. Jakes. I used to be one of the VPs of Gospel Today magazine. I've been around for a long time because God has ordained me to be a part of the non-profit world. I've been in marketing and branding for the last 20 years, working for all kind of people from BET to BET of Celebration, Essence Festival, Stellar Awards, Sylvester Poole Jr., Bishop Kyle Searcy. So I've worked for a lot of churches in branding their businesses. And so when I thought about the Black Nonprofit Summit, what God gave me was speaking on the word dash, what's in your dash. And so it brought me to this poem that I had found researching about the word dash, because when you think about dash, you think about the beginning, which is the day you was born, and then you think about the end, which is the day you would die. But no one ever think about what's in between that. Okay, so I got this poem that Linda Ellis wrote, and I'm gonna read the poem out to you. It says, I read of a man who stood to speak at a funeral of a friend. He referred to the dates on his tombstone from the beginning to the end. He referred to the dates of he noted that the first came the day of her birth and spoke the following day of her tears. But he said that what mattered most was all the dash between those years. For the dash represent all the times that she spent alive on this earth. And not only those who love her know what the little line is worth. For what it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, the cash. What matters how we live and love and how we spend our dash. So think about this long and hard. Are these things you have that you like to change? For you never know how much time is left that can be rearranged. If we could just slow down enough to consider what's true and real and always try to understand the way people really feel, and be less quick to anger and show appreciative more and love people in our lives like we never loved before. If we treat each other with respect and more often wear a smile, remembering that this special dash might only last for a little while. So when you're in eulogy being read with your life actions to rehash, would you be proud of the things that say about how you spent your dash, by Linda Ellis. And what made me talk about what's in your dash, I was me being a pastor's wife, which I am. I can't talk today. Me being a pastor's wife, which I am today. There was a pastor wife that passed away a couple of years ago. Her name is Lucretia Snow Middleton, and her funeral was amazing. So many people stood before the crowd and talked about her, how graceful she was, how she was a woman of many hats, how she was a light to a lot of people, how she really, really, really was the kind of person that let her light shine. I began to look at my life and I was like, oh, I wasn't happy with my life. I looked at my life, was like, you need to change some things about you. You need to set some goals about your life. You need to be a light to people, because of the pastor wife stigma that we have, where some pastor wife can be bougie, or they can be stuck up, or they can be standoff. I wanted to be, as a pastor wife, the kind of wife that when people come to me, I'm able to pray for them. I'm able to lay hands on them. I'm able to heal. I'm able to look at them as and be a light to them. I wanted to be a pastor's wife where if my church members need me, they could call me and I could be there. So I began to look at my dash. I began to look at how I was as a person, how I was with my husband, how I was with my children, how I was in my businesses. And I saw some things that I did not like. And I said to myself, you got to change some of the ways that you are as a person. So I began to dissect myself and start changing the way I thought of myself. And so the dash is a metaphor of time from beginning to birth and to the death. And so in between that time, my question for you in this particular summit is, what are you doing with your dash? Are you helping people? Are you a light to people? What does your dash represent? Does it represent hate? Does it represent laughter? Does it represent a lot of crying? Does it represent celebration? Does it represent disappointment? Your dash can represent a lot of things in life, but you have to take control of your dash. You have to take control of your purpose, and you have to believe what God has for you, it is for you. And so for me, I wanted my dash to represent God's child. I wanted it to represent who God has created me to become, to be a light to people, to be effective to the body, to be a blessing to people who need my help, even in my businesses, helping churches to get their nonprofits off the ground, helping people to be who God has created to become. I call myself the purpose pusher. I'm a coach. I've been coaching over 15 years. I actually been coaching longer than that, but stickler wise, I've been coaching for about 15 years. And for me, I wanted to make sure my dash had great memories. So when people go before me at my tomb or wherever I may, when I die, because you're going to die, but what would they say about Dr. Nikki? Would they say she was a light to the kingdom? Would they say she was mean and cruel? What would they say about me? What would they say about me? How would they say that I was as a person? Would people show up? Would I be a light to a lot of people? And so that starts within me. I consider myself as a person who, if someone called me, I'm available. I consider myself as a person, if someone needs prayer, they can come to me for prayer. I also consider myself as a businesswoman and as a mother and as a wife. So my dash is starting to shift now that I start looking at myself and realizing that I bring value to this world. I'm not just another statistic or another Black woman that's not giving God what he desired for my life. So my question is, what does your dash look like? How will you spend your time? How will you represent God? Are you adventurous? Have you touched many hearts? How many meals did you enjoy with your family and friends? Have you created a lot of memories? How many wishes have you fulfilled that you knew that's supposed to come true? As I began to think about this particular speaking, I had a chance to ride by a cemetery, and I began to weep on how many people allowed their dash to expire and they didn't fulfill nothing that God had for their life. So it's so important, the older you get, that you begin to bask in these questions, because like I said before, it's got to happen. But the question is, have you really fed your soul? Have you been a light to somebody? Can somebody say, you know what? She helped me, or he guided me, or he was a mentor, or she was my coach, or she was my pastor's wife who was amazing. So we have to really look at our dash and make sure we're living our life purposefully, living without apologizing, making sure that you're living the life that God has for you. The more I think about my dash, the more I begin to smile, because I see my dash changing. I see the fun that I'm having with my husband and how I'm making so many memories with my friends and my family, because I chose to live a different life. I chose to take control over my dash, and I decided to control my destiny through Christ. And so for me, I love dancing in my dash. I love thinking about all the memories I'm about to create, and how I'm going to jump out of a plane, and how I'm going to make sure I write this awesome business plan and one day become a millionaire, because those are the plans that I see for myself. So my question to you, what are you doing with your dash? What have you done for your dash? Look at your past. And if you know your dash is not where you need it to be, then you need to think about changing your dash. You gotta think about changing how people's perception of you. People say, well, it doesn't matter what people say about me. It should matter what people say about you. It should matter what you're doing with your dash, because your dash is attached to your legacy. Your dash is attached to your children's children. And God's word, it tells you to leave a legacy for your children. So what's behind your dash? What's in your dash? Who you're connected to? Are you making a difference in your community? Are you being a light to a little child? Are you feeding the orphanages? Are you helping the widows? Are you being a servant? Are you being humble? Because all that matters in your dash. Now, my birthday is April the 28th, 1978. I'm 43 years old. My question is, I don't know, and I don't know when I'm going to die. But what I will say is I know for a fact I'm going to make sure I live my life out loud, not apologize for anything I've done, because I've asked God for forgiveness for my rough past. But my question to you is what's in your dash? Have you thought about it? Do you know how important it is to live your life out loud? Another question I have is, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? What letter would you write? What song would you sing? What trip would you take? What idea would you launch if you have the power to change your dash? What would you write about? What dog would you rescue? What cat would you heal? All this come within your dash. What problem would you solve? What mountain would you climb? What career move would you make? What contest would you enter? Do you bake? Do you clean? Are you a happy person? Because that's all within your dash. What lesson have you learned? What friend have you called? Who have you checked on? What's your revolution? What revolution would you start? Are you at peace with your life? Are you living your life out loud? Because that matters to your life, because that's your dash. That is your dash. So this is Dr. Nikki. I want to thank Tiffany Bell for the opportunity to speak at the nonprofit Black Summit, the Black Summit nonprofit. I'm excited about being here because it's so much that we need to speak into your life. If you are a owner, if you are a church, if you are a pastor, God has put a mandate on your life to change the community. If you are in nonprofit, that means you should have a spirit of serving. You should have a spirit of making sure that the next person is living their life. My husband and I, we own a nonprofit here at the church called Destiny Word Christian Center. And ways of we giving back, or ways how we serving the community, we do an event every year called the Stuff the Bus, where we help out hundreds and thousands of kids who cannot afford school supplies. We also do an event called the 200 Coats, Socks, and Hat Drive, where we help out kids around our community, elementary and junior high, to provide coats, socks, and hats because they have to walk to school. We also do an event called the Stuff the Truck, where we help people with toys for Christmas for single parents who cannot afford toys for Christmas. That's our way of giving back. We also feed the needy. And so we have to, as a nonprofit, serve the people, because if you are a nonprofit or if you have a heart to serve, then God has mandated your life to shift the atmosphere, and you have to make sure you're serving God people in the way that He wants you to serve. I really appreciate you for taking out the time to listen to what God had given me, what's in your dash. Think about what I'm telling you. Make a difference. Change your mindset, shift your atmosphere, give back to the needy, help people who are homeless, because it's all about what's in your dash. This is Dr. Nikki, and I'm done speaking for now.